What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Innovators Den. I am formerly known as hashtag. Please follow us at the Innovators Den, and I'm here with
Steve-O Business, and we have a very special guest to me. These guys are pioneers. They inspired me. They've put me in rooms that I could never put myself in, and I give a lot of my success today to them. So thank you, Hannah and Ali.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you. We're really happy to be here.
Thank you for having me. Welcome. Thank you so much for you guys being here. You guys been very influential in our community, in our culture, and I definitely need to highlight you guys throughout our journey. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what's up, Hannah? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You just got back from France, right? From
I
Paris.
got back from Paris, Paris Fashion Week. Yes,
yeah.
At the end of September.
How was it?
It was amazing. I skipped New York Fashion Week. No shade to New York, but I skipped that to be able to go to Paris.
Right. Yeah, it's a different experience, right?
Yeah.
Different culture.
Definitely.
You know, and when you come back home, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You have something to like really say.
Yeah.
You know, about your
experience.
It's
a different perspective shift, and I tell a lot of like BIPOC minority creatives, if you haven't been to Paris yet, make that a goal. Go to Paris Fashion Week, and then you'll see it done at the highest level, and then come back and reset your goals.
Good. What's up, Ali?
What's going on? Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank
you for having us. This is great to see and great to be a part of.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I told you earlier off the camera, like you guys influenced a lot, you know, when you guys almost like mentoring me, y'all put me under the wing, I took it and ran with it, you know, all the information you gave. So I appreciate you guys. We're here today because, you know, you guys inspired that, you know.
Well, that's one thing we saw in you, Steve. You're serious about it. So people can give you information, but if you don't apply it, it means nothing. You know what I mean? So it's like a fool with gold or diamonds. It doesn't mean anything to them if they don't know how to use it. So you're very focused, passionate, and also you weren't in a rush. Like you knew you had to learn certain things. So just to see what you guys put together and you're building, you have the right strategy and perspective. Man, we're really proud of you. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And it means a lot because I ran into Ali, and Ali basically at one point like was putting together a company like a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit,
yes,
right?
Nonprofit.
And FFA is a company that they go into inner city communities and students that are working like on fashion or want to be in the fashion business. They get these students from inner city schools and colleges and take them to like high-end workspaces, right, in the fashion industry. So it's really good to bring that to the community, and it helped me because they brought me in a room that it was like, wow, this is a great opportunity. So I took it and ran with it, like you said.
Actually
Did you
reachable.
come to the CFDA visit?
Yes, that's where I went.
Yeah, so we created Fashion for All Foundation in 2016, and it happened because Hannah already had a nonprofit, which is very important. Nonprofit work is everyone say, oh, I want a nonprofit, but to actually do the work and the leg work and the groundwork is very difficult, and there's a lot of legal stuff you have to know. So
It's like learning another language.
So she already had one established, God on the Inside International, where she was going around the world doing missionary work, also building schools, young girls in East Asia being sexually trafficked. She's there interrupting that. She was in Haiti, you know, after the earthquake. So
Wow.
But at the same time, she had a love for fashion. She moved to New York to pursue that and was at Lanvin. You know, I would have my interest and I was doing what I was doing, and we came together to create Fashion for All Foundation because there was a major gap in the industry that wasn't dealing with diversity, equity, and inclusion. It wasn't
Focused on.
It wasn't trendy. It wasn't cool. They'll shut you down. You get, looked at funny if you talked about police shootings. So I'll let Hannah explain how we actually started, because and then we can,
go back.
It all comes together.
Yeah. So, like Ali said, well, I'm originally from Cleveland first, and like Ali said, I did a lot of more humanitarian work, but I always knew you could marry the two. But I didn't know how to do it until I met Ali. So I will say, purpose and people go hand in hand. So I'm fully living in my purpose now. And before we created FFA, I was just inching toward it. So purpose, people, proximity, actually. So I had to move to New York to be in proximity to all of the brands. I had to meet Ali, and then my purpose was always humanitarian, charitable work. So I was fast forward. I moved to New York with my 3-year-old daughter at the time, single mom. I'm working at Lanvin. I was the only black person on the floor. So this is an all white. Fashion is just predominantly white for sure back then. Diversity wasn't trending. Sustainability wasn't trending. Size inclusivity wasn't a thing. None of it was. Alton Sterling was killed and Philando Castile. I'm on the floor. I'm watching the video, and my coworkers are watching it. They're all white, and they put it back in their pocket like it was a video game. Like, oh, okay, what's next? What's our goal today? So I'm the only one really impacted by this, where I had to take a minute, walk outside, collect myself, come back. And I said, you know what? I have to do something. Now, I wanted to do something in fashion in 2014 when Tamir Rice was killed by the police in Cleveland, but I was too afraid to do it. So I had the idea, but I just wasn't ready. And when it happened back to back in the same week, I was finally like brave enough to do something. So I said, you know, I went to Fashion Week every year at this point as a stylist. But I said, I'm going to do something different. I'll just boycott it. And the first original thought was to boycott by not going. But that wouldn't have done anything. No one would have missed my presence. So I said, well, let me do it in a like a silent demonstration. And I asked everyone in my network, over 100 people, to join me. You know, let's have signs, let's like march in front of Fashion Week with all the photographers and say Black Lives Matter. Everyone said they would do it, and only 11 people showed up.
Right.
Oh, man.
So it's me plus 11 people, but that actually turned out to be the perfect number. I always refer to it as like the 12 disciples. Like it was the perfect amount of people. We weren't disruptive. We weren't too loud. They couldn't say we were antagonizing the crowd.
It was actually it turned into a silent protest.
Yeah.
Which actually looked like an art installation.
Art installation, like public art. And and I love public art. It's one of my favorite forms. So we were silent, and it was 12 of us, 6 and 6, 2 rows. And we had some of the victims' names on our shirts, some of our signs. We held up signs, Stop Killing Us, Black Lives Matter. And a photographer took our picture. This is the start of Fashion for All. Photographer took our picture, went inside the show and asked Stephen Kolb, who was then the CEO and president of the CFDA.
Yes.
He's now the CEO of the CFDA, and the first Black woman president is Cassandra Diggs now, post George Floyd. But just backing up to 2016, he was CEO and president, one white man. And they asked him, is it okay if we put this on Instagram? And he said, oh, sure, why not? So it read, on the CFDA's Instagram, on and off the runways, Black Lives Matter. That was huge because before then, fashion took the stance of being neutral. Similar to the Gaza and Israeli conflict happening now, they were silent. We don't want to ruffle feathers. We don't want to lose sponsorship. And it's a bipartisan issue. Everyone wins here. But they didn't want to get in the middle of it, and so they said it's best to just be neutral and be quiet.
Right.
And so that's why they weren't speaking up. So that was a major step forward.
I just want to add, during that time, there were people who were Black passing the demonstration, like hiding. People
Oh, yes.
Hannah knew that were supposed to be friends of hers. They were passing and kind of hiding and like don't
Covering
look at
your face,
covering their
don't
face.
make eye contact, like doing this. Like,
But at the same time, and now
Wow,
these,
No,
now
seriously.
and now these are
I
some of
kid you not.
the blackest people saying Black Lives Matter and
they founded their
Black
own.
Girl Magic. They
They have
started
their
the
own
organization
nonprofit.
after 2020, you know, and
when it was safe.
Black and brown and everything because it's on trend. But then you had other people who were all ethnicities walking up, crying, sitting down, models
joining
sitting
our
down,
protest,
just staring, joining the protest. You know, so it struck people
different ways.
in
Struck a
different ways.
chord, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
struck a chord in different ways. So from that, there was an opportunity to. Everyone contacted Hannah. They wanted to, clip or they wanted a quote. All the magazines, Vogue, just all the, all the.
In fact, we were out there for 6 hours, and all of the outlets were lined up in a line. So our hands were up like this the whole time, just because they were spraying protesters. If you remember this summer, it's when Colin Kaepernick first took his kneel. So that also gave me some motivation and inspiration to do it, and courage. And they were spraying protesters. They were tasing them. A lot of people were getting arrested. So that's why the silent demonstration took place. Like, we're not harm. It was like MLK.
Right.
No harm. We're not causing any harm. So we were standing there with our hands up for 6 hours, and people came and offered us water and food. I was interviewing up until 2 a.m. that morning with all of the outlets. Like, it went viral, and Ali actually said, let's turn this into from a powerful moment into a powerful movement. And let's not make it about police brutality. Let's not found a foundation on police brutality, but instead Black lives, Black and brown lives, all lives mattering in fashion and art, because it didn't at the time.
So what happened is, and we would also have debates, and Hannah's there. She's at L'Envant. She's on the floor. She's dealing with coworkers. She's seeing the people. And her thing is, she's really passionate. She's mad. Why don't they care? Why aren't they saying anything? Post nightclub happened, and the fashion industry had a certain thing. That was the shooting in Orlando at the gay nightclub. Right? That happened, and then there was a shooting in France at the newspaper.
And fashion spoke up for that.
So what happened is, I said, because they don't have to say anything about Black and brown people getting murdered by the police. That's not their beef. That's not they're not concerned with that. That's not their reality. And Hannah's like, no, they should. They have to. And that's when I said, well, this momentum, yes, let's make this into this moment, let's make this into a powerful movement. Let's address fashion where it's at, the lack of diversity, the lack of this, and what they're doing. In some cases, it's even illegal. You know what I mean? Discrimination against a job and, not giving certain opportunities. So that's when our focus shifted to, let's focus on this. We're not the first to do it in fashion. Beth Ann was doing this in the 80s as it related to models. You know what I mean? But we know we have to, models is a given. That's been happening for a long time. But designers, creative directors, opportunities behind the scenes, behind the camera as well, on every single level. You can always say this, Pat McGrath or Andre Leontelli. You can always pick one, and they've set the system up to where we've bought into that. Oh, it's only one at a time. Oh, okay, it's Virgil. Okay, now Virgil's passed on. Now it's Tremaine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, now Pharrell is in it. It's only one at a time where we, and even amongst ourselves, in hip hop, it's only one rapper at the top. Oh, it's only one.
Couldn't have Biggie and
It's only
Tupac.
this. We can't buy into that. It could be, it's only one podcast. It's only one. No. We have a community. We have to work together. We have to unite. We have to band together. It's not only one. We all have a voice. We all have to support each other. You know what I'm saying? So, so that was why we created Fashion for All. And in addition to that, Hannah coming from Cleveland, the Midwest, where there's not that many opportunities. Me coming from a different era in the 80s and 90s, when you're just kind of in the streets. You don't go to school. No, I'm saying you don't go to you don't go to school. I didn't realize you can actually go to school and become a creative director. Our school wasn't like a outlet or reality for me. If you didn't grow up in that household, our community, Black and brown community, we need, it's a technical job. It's a skill, cool. Engineer, doctor, lawyer, those are all technical jobs.
Like blue collar jobs.
Or all the blue collar jobs, construction, this, that, and it's all great and it's all amazing. But the creative world, it's too risky. We're already like, you got to be twice as good. You got to be this. You got to be that. Our parents just wanted the best for us. So if you weren't nurtured from if they didn't understand the arts,
Yeah.
hip hop helped to change stuff,
Right.
Because it started feeding people and
Yeah.
music, started, but even in sports, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a one shot. That's very rare.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we created Fashion for All to give young people
That
these
access.
opportunities, the access, and to nurture that particular interest at a very young age through college, through graduate,
On to
you-
professional.
into the professional realm, because a lot of them still, even in graduate school, and they're going to these different FIT and whatever, they still weren't being exposed
Yeah.
and getting opportunities and seeing it like from the inside out. They weren't familiar with this. They've never met anyone from the
They know curriculum, but they didn't know
right.
the workload.
They didn't know,
The work ethic you need.
They never had a real serious internship, where they're being paid, or they didn't.
Because in fashion, it's about who you know.
Right.
Right. And if from the minority community, that's not our world, how do we get there? So that's why we created FFA, Fashion for All Foundation, to bridge the gap from what you want to reality, actually being it. And so that's where, when you say you did that visit, we pride ourselves on those type of visits. Like, if this is the only opportunity that you would be able to go to the CFDA headquarters, hear from Stephen Kolb, you were in one that all of the executives were around the table. They spoke about what they did. We do that all the time. Louis Vuitton headquarters, Chanel. They took us through an entire tour. They rolled out the red carpet. I think Chanel was one of our best visits. Prada headquarters and the Prada Broadway store in Soho. Ralph Lauren Library. They don't make that open to even employees, unless you're an employee.
Yeah, you have to be
Like the archives.
Yeah,
don't-
Yeah, we went into their archives. They
Wow.
opened
You went
that
to
up.
No, I didn't go to that one.
Yeah, you
We'll have another
I
one.
wanna-
coming up. You
that's
can come.
the one I wanted to go to
You
too.
can come. Yeah, no, you can come. We open that up to anyone in our community. But that's how our community starts to learn and starts to get that exposure and then make the connections. And now we could float a resume to the top. And now we can say through FFA, oh, they're a FFA, community
Referrals,
member.
yeah.
So then our referral has weight now.
Right.
Yeah, because they know they're
Yeah.
vetted.
They're
coming
vetted,
in,
yeah.
They're serious,
Right.
know. So from opportunities like like Hannah said, the Ralph Lauren Library, which is even close to employees outside of designers, to, job placement,
Internship, placement,
internship,
mentorship,
job
matching.
placement, mentorship, matching, which is all these are buzzwords now, and it's embraced and
Right.
and it's great because we need the help.
course.
But just establishing these relationships over the last past 9 years, and just starting from like just with what we had,
Right.
taking the personal work live space and turning it into the headquarters where we're giving young people access to come, to our headquarters, which is a private space, but this
Right.
is what we're working with.
Right. But there's a vintage catalog in there too, guys.
Yeah, that's Ali.
They're going to the archive. They can touch stuff, from the 1800s, textiles from the 1600s, or stuff from the 90s that they only seen in the magazines. You know what I mean? Put it to use. Books. We've had Stephen Kolb spoken at our headquarters. Jenna Lyons, Terry Agins, a host of fashion luminaries and legends have come out. This is what we're providing for free. It was happening before the pandemic. Stuff shifted, of course, after the pandemic. But we've been around. We've been doing this.
Excuse me.
And again, it was important because if I had FFA, in 91 when I graduated from high school, or just even known about FFA in high school, all of my friends, I have some really successful friends in fashion and art and music and doing different things, but we would be so much further
along.
ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some deals we took that were bad deals. We even talked to our students about deals, like,
contracts.
this contracts, you know what I mean?
Right.
I would have been much further along personally, and so it's like, and it's not about a monetary thing or even a positioning or
It's almost like understanding, understanding of
The
right,
knowledge,
societal
yeah.
type
No.
of whatever label, but it's just about internally self-love. We're teaching soft skills, not only hard skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So communicating, you know what I mean, temperament and so on and
Emotional
so-
intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Because that's how you win the game in business. And, you know, minorities are very emotional.
Right.
Yeah.
Black and brown.
Well, we
they
come
are
from the
very-
inner city communities, right? So you just hear loud music all day.
We're
Yeah.
also
Somebody
not
lives
really
on every
taught
corner.
how to
There's
handle
fights in the
our emotion,
hallway.
right?
Right.
Like, oh, you're looking at me now. I'm angry that you're looking at me. You know, like
yeah,
that's
you
how we
stepped
grew
on
up,
my
kind of
shoe,
thing.
So we
now
go
we're
through all of
fighting.
this.
Like, yeah, we
Yeah.
have to start from
Right.
ground
We
zero.
start-
And then
we
you,
start
and then coming from black and brown and going into the fashion industry, right? And you go into rooms that you're the only brown or black
Yeah,
one
how
in
do
the
you
room.
handle that?
How, you know, and then they react a certain way. You can't expect people to act a certain way because they don't know better, right?
They don't.
So we teach our young people, and now it's increased to 40 years.
Yeah, we're now at age
it's,
40.
you know, we're at
14 to 40.
14 to 40.
So I have a few more years to join you guys.
Yeah.
There's a whole language. There's a whole decorum, and it's not about the double consciousness. Like you have to stop talking like this and talk like this. We want you to be authentically you. We teach you how to create a safe space for yourself because there's not one already there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, number one, how to create a safe space for yourself. Stay authentic at the same time. Be conscious of the environment and the culture that is fashion, which is very different. It's a certain language. If you know the rules, you can break the rules.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know the rules, you can break the rules. So we're teaching them the rules at the same time. You're not losing yourself. And it's very interesting when we look at black women, especially in these spaces, where black women, black and brown women go to work and they can't be themselves. You know, you have to be professional, and there's this professional decorum, but yet there are coworkers who are not black
can
and
be
brown
blacker
can
than
imitate
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
Yeah.
and talk in this vernacular and you know
And it's accepted.
and movement talking and then when you don't participate or you may participate, you don't participate, or if you do that and this is who you are,
Right.
then you're
ghetto
painted
or
a
hood.
certain way. So it's very interesting. It's very nuanced, but we like to talk to our students
Right.
about all of these things, and this is making them aware that this is
Right.
that it does exist, but fashion and art is a whole nother monster.
Right, because there's fashion and there's fashion's business. It's two
Yeah.
different things, and the way they help curate it. Look at it like back then there was artist development, and when you go to a record label, right? You could. It's like you almost you come to their system, their school, and you get the process of getting artist development as a curated artist, and they introduce you to the fashion industry at large. So
No,
I
that's a great
appreciate you, the
example,
guy.
Steve. That's exactly what
Yeah.
it is. So in essence, we're like A&R.
It's like you curate.
We're getting them ready. We're A&Rs. We're developing these young minds to step into just themselves and understand or feel comfortable. Or if you're 40 and it never worked, well, why? And okay,
Why?
this is
Let's audit that.
this
you know?
is
What would you
what
guys say has to happen in order for us to feel like not underrepresented in that specific space anymore? Because I still feel like
What
we
would
are.
have to happen?
Yeah, like what foundations have to be put in place?
What's like a marker? You mean like okay?
Yeah, like what's like 3 things that like you can say like, okay, if this happens, then we're actually like getting closer rather than continuing to.
I mean,
try to
I
reach
say
certain
this.
things.
We get that question a lot, and I'm always honest. The one thing that has to happen, black people have to unify. Like black people, brown people, black and brown. I think the Latino community does a better job of it, honestly. Black people are the worst. Like, I'm just being 100% honest. It's very unpopular. I get it. I know. But it's the truth. Because we deal with it firsthand every single day. So before I could get to step 2 and 3, black people have to unify. And the reason why all the other communities are further along, they're organized and they look out for one another.
Yeah.
We don't. I use this example all the time. Hey, can you connect me with so-and-so? Just say I'm trying to get to Rich Paul, for example. You know him, you're his good friend. I'm from Cleveland, we're all from Cleveland. Can you connect me with them? I would have to jump through hoops just to get an email introduction.
Let me. I'm gonna get.
Hold on, but let me finish.
Yep.
Now, if I ask my white friend who works for Clutch Sports, sure. And I'm being copied that same hour.
So I'm gonna give you a funny.
That's a real life example.
I'm gonna give you so that's an example. Rich Paul, okay, cool. Give me the email.
That's a
one
real
thing.
example.
Hold on, that's a real example. But I'm going to give you another example that's more ridiculous. Because some people are like, well, that's his email. I want to give it out. Cool. Okay, yeah, fine. No, it's okay. It's okay, right? Okay. Hey, give me Rich Paul. I need to get in contact with Rich Paul's publicist, right? The publicist is put in place to
Right.
vet. So it's the publicist's job to get every email, and they decide who they want to deal with.
Right.
I can't give you the publicist's email.
That's called gatekeeping.
Right, but black people do it.
No, I don't.
Like, come on.
Listen. Don't give me. Okay, cool. Rich Paul's email. No problem. Give me the public. Matter of fact, we didn't even ask for Rich Paul's.
Just give me the assistants.
Get-
Then we could go down to
Forget
the
about this.
assistant.
No,
They
even
wouldn't
the
give
assistant.
it. They wouldn't
No,
give it.
it's the publicist's job. They get
Sure.
thousands of emails and phone calls every day. We're not going to say, they don't know it came from you. It could come from anywhere.
Yeah.
Can I have the publicist's email? No. So
It's still no.
that's
So to answer your
one.
question, we have to unify honestly, and then we could take over all the industries. Then we would see real change. But I'll just stop at step one.
So I like to
One.
say,
I think that goes for like a lot of cultures. Yeah, because I feel like we all, even in
Minority
the
cultures.
Minority
Yeah,
cultures,
yeah,
in
across
general,
the board.
we
well,
all
again,
have
that goes
kinda
back to
unite.
Mm-hmm.
the one.
But not Asian cultures.
Yeah, that's
because you
that.
see all these beauty supply stores. Latino is a little bit better, but black, I mean, it's just the words.
It's almost like we're in competition with each other. Right?
Yeah.
What
and
goes
we don't
back to
have
the
to.
it goes back to the one dynamic and the one idea. I would like to say this: certain markers. I mean, there's stuff that's happening. We're seeing people in position. We're seeing people becoming creative directors at these. We have to see more people behind the camera that's in power. But sometimes when people get these jobs, they're actually really not in power. Unless you can actually, and when you're in position, right? Whether you're running a studio, like you're the CEO of a brand, or you're the head of a studio, Universal, whatever, or you're running like Universal Records, on that level you can push the button, but you have to really have that power to push the button. You have to be able to really bring your own team in. Sometime in fashion, especially, you can't just bring in your own team. Other places, sure, you can't just bring in your own team, and that's their way of making sure the quality's there and this is there. And we understand the ateliers and the people that's actually sewing in the couture house. We get that, but just the creative people, that's their way of kind of guiding the ship still. So you have to have real control
And autonomy.
and autonomy to do your vision, and at the same time be able to give jobs and opportunities for people. And at the same time, when it comes to production, we need our own production. We need our own fabric mills. On that level, the farmers that's growing the cotton,
Yep.
they're only manufacturing.
Supply
So
chain.
when we look at it from that perspective, that's really what we need. And being in these roles in the fashion industry, more opportunities there and outside of the industry. Also, in addition to that, I love I only wear vintage stuff, old stuff for the most part, and that's just my lifestyle and sustainability, whatever the case may be. But that doesn't mean these boosters on the run, they're old though. They're from a few years ago. I don't need to get them brand new, and I don't need to pay that price for them. I love stuff that's well made, right? Whether it's from 10 years ago or 100 years ago.
Craftsmanship.
But my point is, the booster just boosted me. I don't really care. You know what I mean? They don't make me because they're designed by this person. We have to become unhypnotized by the logo. Because the logos we're hypnotized by are not made by black and brown people. And we give credence to that and put that on a pedestal versus some of the other brands that are.
Might be even better, better made, right?
Yeah, that
Right.
you're in better made.
Right.
Yeah,
They're better
that's
made,
true.
their stories are this, and the third. So we have to, if we look at what happened in hip hop and in fashion, and let's just say urban, because that's what they called it. Before it was streetwear, it was urban wear. So if we look at Cross Colors, Carl Kanai,
Right.
you know,
Kanai, man.
Fat Farm, you know,
Rockaware.
Rockaware, they came even a little later, even Shine John, but FUBU. We look at all this stuff. FUBU, Cross Colors, Carl Kanai, Morris Malone, just these brands, con art from the late 80s into the 90s set the stage for Fat Farm being the first, Fat Farm, Rockaware, you know, Sean John.
Right.
At a certain point, this is what we were wearing and focused on. You know what I mean? But yeah, Ralph Lauren, you know, been around for all these years, but this is what we was wearing and focused on. After a certain point, we were, you know, Ralph Lauren, Jabot, some people, Tommy Hilfiger, so on, and then okay, we're making our own thing, and then Cross Colors or whatever, right? Willie Smith back then. This is what we're focused on. But then what happened is it became unfashionable because the rappers started selling their own brands.
Their merch.
that was like a
sold,
trend.
no, they sold
Their
their
own
company.
Happened with Rockaware.
Yeah.
No, they sold
the
they
brand.
sold their
They
brand.
sold their
company.
brand to
Sold
holding
their
companies. Yeah.
They sold their companies. They cashed out.
It got diluted.
Yeah.
They cashed out, and then they started wearing European
The
stuff.
European brands.
Gucci, Louis, this and the
Fendi.
third, Fendi, and that's what everybody else started doing. So
Again,
we stopped.
Yeah.
And we gave it back to them. And then the new wave came into the 2000s. You know, you had, you know, Kanye doing his Off-White, you know, Fear of God, Tisa being one of the first ones. You had Tisa. And then we start making it again. But was still, okay, the Balenciaga came back and this came back. They took what we were doing and just did it at a much higher
Level with their name,
Bigger
though.
distribution,
Right.
And that kind of Christopher John Rogers, you know, but at the same, and they're really big. Telfar,
Yeah.
it needs.
Well, everybody knows
communities,
Telfar.
but
Everybody knows him.
they can actually be much bigger. I was watching Ari Spears on Vlad, right? And they got into a debate about Virgil, and he didn't know who Virgil was, Ari Spears, and he was like, Vlad, you know, niggas in the Midwest don't know who Virgil is. You never heard of Virgil, who Off-White, but he's right though. You know what I'm saying? As big as Virgil was in Off-White and being at Louis, a lot of people still don't. So your point is like the people that's in the position still need to be even bigger.
Actually, which is interesting about that, in the Midwest and other pockets of the country, you have to be interested in fashion and art to know Virgil. But when he died, everyone learned who he was because he was trending so much. Even my mom texts me, and she's just, you know, Ralph Lauren, she knows Ralph Lauren, Tommy, DKNY. My mom texts me, who's Virgil Abloh? Like it went that far that even baby boomers were texting.
Of fashion, like
first
black president.
More
He
people
was like
before death.
Yeah.
That before
Before death.
Exactly.
Everybody.
But I feel like
Nipsey
that's what
after
happens
he
too.
died.
Yeah, that
that's
does happen a
another one.
lot.
We need that.
No, yeah.
Even
we
like
need that now.
Tupac's
though.
greatness was-
alive.
we figured that out after.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Demise,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
we need that before death. You know what I mean? So to your point, we have to support all these, and you know, a lot of women. You know what I mean? There's that's a whole nother conversation because women are so underrepresented, especially black and brown women. That's doing excellent stuff. You know what I mean? Like making good clothes.
Right.
It's not the fast fashion stuff. But
Yeah.
you know, the point is we have to support. Going back to what Hannah said, that comes through unity.
It all goes back to unity. So the gatekeeping you mentioned, you have to stop doing that. The email example that we gave, that's gatekeeping.
Also curating our own events, right? And highlighting
And supporting them,
and
showing
supporting
up,
them,
taking
you know?
it as serious as if you got invited to the Met Gala.
Right.
You know, like if
Yeah.
we have our own gala, we have to show up.
Exactly.
And that's really quickly too. It's very important for these people that get in these that
Spaces.
they get, you know, they're hired by Louis Vuitton or I should say LVMH, or they're hired by this brand or Kering or whatever the case, Gucci, or they're at Prada or whatever, and they get in these key positions. Just because they're black or they're brown doesn't mean anything. Well, firstly, it's twofold. Sometimes they know this is the right person for this job because it's the wrong person for the job. Meaning, this person is not going to bust a grape in a fruit fight. You see what I'm saying? They're not going to do anything. They're not going to rock the boat. They're going to keep the status quo, and they want to be the only one. As long as we paying them $600,000 a year perks, you can put on Instagram. You got a clothing allowance, and you have a card, and you can travel internationally, and you're at all the shows. They're happy with that. They're not going to rock the boat. They're going to.
They're just token.
They're going to put out fires versus changing policy.
Right.
So what happens is they find the right person for these positions, the companies that really don't want to rock the boat, and that person does nothing. It's just a symbolic
Status holder.
status. And they're happy because they're eating, just them. They're the only one again. So we have to make sure the right people are in these positions as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know, it makes sense because now we have to be able to create our brands, our own brands. We got to tell our own stories. And even if you do get a job at a house, right, who's telling that designer or pattern maker or graphic designer or tech packer's story? And they black or brown, you know, in these big fashion houses. So we got to document it, you know, and that's why I appreciate the Fashion for All Foundation.
Yeah, I would add that to one of your other steps after unifying, owning media. Like being in control of media, telling our own stories.
Supporting our media,
supporting
too.
That's right.
it.
That's
yeah,
big.
because we have to put those images out that truly depict what happened. And like critical race theory, they're trying to take that away. That owning our own story narrative is most important.
Right.
That's why we're in the situation we're in. That's why fashion and film and TV is so important because
that's why Condé Nast is where it's at.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
the hand that rocks the cradle rocks the world, right? Nowadays, it's the and in general, it's the person that's controlling the media, the image. That tells the story.
That tells
that, you know, 100 years from now, Michael Jackson could be white.
Right.
if we don't continue to-
You know, or John Coltrane or Miles Davis could be white. You know what I mean? Or it could be totally different. You can change that up. So,
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? Ralphie Pagano, Joey Baton, or they can just wipe them out of existence altogether, you know, or change, you know, who they are. Celia Cruz is now Irish. No, I'm just saying. It sounds crazy, but it's a fact. So we have to tell our stories, and we have to really be in control of that narrative and keep that going.
Right.
You know,
I think it's also keeping the stories alive because as you're mentioning them, I'm like, have I told my kids about Celia or have I told my kids about Michael Jackson or you know these people that have
influence
or Eartha Kitt. Like a lot of people don't even know how much of a beast Eartha Kitt was. A lot of people don't know her.
Right.
I hate interviews, but it was important for us, and you guys are very persistent. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
You know, our schedules are crazy, and the schedules and
thank you guys
third.
No, it means everything.
But
for
it
you
was
guys coming
important for us to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, to do this, to support, you know, our people.
Yes.
And what y'all are doing. You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean? So, you know.
Where can we find you guys online? Is it?
You can find us on Instagram at Fashion for All Foundation, one word. Our website is www.fashionforallnyc.org. And my personal Instagram is at Hanita Marie, HANITA MARIE.
Perfect.
And I'd just like to congratulate all of our fellows that just wrapped up the AMLO Summer
Intensive
Fellowship, which is an 8-week course we do every single summer.
Nice.
And that gives them and that was from day one, you know, and that's the program that really gives them the insight, you know, of
The fashion
industry. But there's year-round programming. The stuff you've come to was year-round, but there's a summer intensive that happens every summer for 8 weeks.
And how can someone sign up to
It's all of that's on our website. Even our Bridge to Basel competition that you're aware of is Miami based only this year. So if you're interested, you can find that on our website as well. We take 15 creatives from all disciplines, ages 18 to 40, to Art Basel Miami, and they learn how the art industry works, the business side of it, how to get started as an artist. But that can be fashion, art, poetry, spoken word, any creative discipline.
Right. Beautiful.
Podcasting.
Podcaster.
Podcaster.
18 to 40, you can apply, and the grand prize winner takes home $15,000 and a 2-year mentorship with someone in your creative discipline. So
last year we flew out 15 young people from all over America.
It's incredible.
15 young people of color, Latinx, Black, Asian, East Asian, to Miami and housed them. And had a dinner. It was amazing. I mean, people were crying, literally.
Yeah, it's definitely life changing.
You guys went to Italy too, I remember, right? Y'all went to.
Yeah, and we went to the Gucci Museum, Gucci Gardens, and we have a lot of those creative trips. So
Beautiful.
This is all of that is online.
So Hannah, I remember you was telling me. Well, I know you guys did the Empire State Building, right? With Dapper Dan, and y'all lit it up. Like that's amazing that we could do that in the community.
So that's another thing I want to highlight.
Right.
Fashion for All. We did that also for the first time. So prior to 2019, they weren't lighting the Empire State Building up for Black History Month. And I noticed just walking down the street.
Well, they never did it.
Yeah, they were not at all.
They never did it.
They never lit it up red, black, and green for Black History Month. So I'm walking down the street and I see they lit it up for Pride. So it was the rainbow flag, and then they did it for Prince and all these special occasions. So I went online, like, how do you make this happen? Put in an application, and we got Dapper Dan for the first time. 2019, we honored him as an icon, and since then we honored Bevy Smith for Black History Month, Spike Lee in 2022, Spike Lee, and then in 2023, this February, it was the 50 years of hip hop, and I'll let Ali name all the icons we honored.
Oh yeah, I mean, we starting with Grandmaster Flash. He was honored. Rakim, Special Ed, Grand Poobah, Buddha Stretch, the dancer, Roxanne Shante, Slick Rick, Fab Five Freddy, Uncle Ralph. I mean, for me, it was a dream come true. These were all my literally all my childhood.
And we had them all in one room at a banquet. Yeah, reception before we lit it up.
But that's supporting community.
And DJ Red Alert. We can't forget.
Red Alert.
We got Red Alert.
I grew up on that. In middle school, he came to my school one time.
Yeah, these were literally all of my childhood heroes, and it was like it was just I was just blown away personally. It was like wow. So just to start with Dapper Dan, who's been supporting us from day one. Well, to start just with the vision Hannah had for starters, right? And that goal, I want to light up the Empire State Building. It's going to be red, black, and green for February. It's not going to be lit up the whole month, but just one day.
One day, yeah.
So to start
that's powerful.
Start from there, and Dapper Dan has been supporting us from day one.
Day one.
And to have him, to honor him, he's a native New Yorker.
Pioneer.
It's like, wow, this is amazing.
Wow.
And then the very next year, it's like, okay, let's do this. I think Dapper Dan was maybe
2019, because Bevy Smith was during COVID 2020.
So 20 in February before COVID shut down. Anyway, the point is to have Bevy Smith next, and then Spike Lee, and then we do 50 years of hip hop. To see it evolve, and it was very difficult at first. It was extremely difficult, and it became like easier and easier and easier. And that's just with anything. Whatever you have, whatever vision you have, go through with it, follow through, follow your heart. Be consistent. It will get easier. But the last one we just did in February was
everybody was crying. I think the entire
Hall of Fame.
staff.
You had a Hall of Fame, and you highlighted
the entire staff, from the door person to the person who works the security to see, and they're of the hip hop generation.
Right.
They were crying. Like everybody came out from all their posts and was just like, everyone was there. We haven't seen that many employees of the Empire State Building that present.
Wow.
As we did this past February. So this happens every year now. We're partners of the Empire State Building.
Oh, wow.
So every year, look up one day in February, and it'll be red, black, and green for Black History Month.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get in there with a camera.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
The next
We
time
would like to highlight the story.
the next
Because
time
you-
we
you
do it,
come,
you
you
guys
have to
can
come
come
get
because we have a
footage.
media
Yeah.
pack.
Right.
We
that's
have
what
media
would do.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
can invite you
Yes.
guys.
Yeah.
Come
So
on.
let's
Awesome.
do it. We could.
And then
we
you can do
definitely wanna book
interviews
that.
live like there.
Or we could do it there with you guys again.
Yeah, and the artists.
So y'all can highlight it.
I
Yes.
think
Awesome.
That's dope.
coming up,
You see how we work right live on the innovators
Just
then we
started.
created.
you want to
About to light up the
what's coming up
Empire State
February,
Building.
or you want to
What's
keep it
coming up
as a
February?
surprise?
Oh no, that's a surprise. You have to follow Fashion for All. We have a really big surprise
Yes.
in February.
I'm gonna find out.
Yeah.
I'm following right now. Actually.
Fashion for All on Instagram at Fashion for All
I already
Foundation.
follow you guys. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. That's empowering for us as a community. For me, looking at you guys as mentors and seeing you guys executing, it means a lot because now we're lighting up the Empire State Building every year.
And now anybody for Hispanic Heritage Month, like put in an application. Anybody could do it. Like
Right.
that's why it was important for me to do it. So now everyone knows. Let me just say this: when you can turn the lights on in New York City, that's real power. So, because they don't let people control them.
But power is that right now you're willing to give us this information to move
That's what I'm about to say.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's where,
Information
for us,
is
is why
power.
we on this podcast.
And that's what we have to do. We have to
Building
go
together,
behind
like
us.
helping each other.
Yeah.
We have to share. We have to share
Share
information.
information.
No one is. No one's a threat
There's
to you.
more than
no
enough
one,
to go
What's
around.
for you is for you. Yes,
Right.
only abundance. There's no lack. If they wanted everybody in the world to eat, everyone could.
Everyone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'll just say that. So
Thank you. Well, this is
Yeah.
what we do here at the Innovators Den. We talk to innovators and we inspire the people that are looking. So check out the next episode. Make sure you follow, like, share, and let's go. We got another episode. One.
Thank you.
thank you.